Today we're doing something a little bit more different. We're going to be holding a guitar today during the video. I'm not going to be playing it or anything, but I'm going to be holding it to demonstrate that I do have some musical, insight, and it's going to make me come across as more intelligent. We are going worst to best, all right, and ranking Radiohead's 9 records total. All right, I'm going to be talking about what I like off of all of them and what I dislike off of all of them. I would consider myself a Radiohead fan, maybe like a slightly above average listener. Not a super fan, but I'm in there. I'm in there. I've done a few reactions to their albums on my channel. If you didn't catch any of those, I made them available in a little playlist for you. You can check those out if you want to. But anyways, yeah, that's basically the premise of this video. All right, if you're new to the channel and you want to see more ranking videos, more reaction videos, feel free to drop any comments that you have in the comments. Feel free to like and subscribe if you want to. All right, we did this for Aphex Twin. Now we're doing another one. All right. Now, usually my rankings, as you guys know, are mostly subjective, and it's true, they are. But this one I feel like is right. This one I feel like can't actually be argued with. There are some albums on the top of this list and on the bottom of this list that would just be incorrect to place anywhere else, other besides maybe swapping a few. That's all I gotta say for right now. Let's do it. I could just leave it here and move on, but we'd have a shorter video viewing the band's full potential and seeing what they accomplished in the later 90s and in the early 2000s. It's easy to kind of brush this off and be like, oh, okay, this was ass, let's move on from it. So I get why people may think that the album is overhated, and I also understand why the album might be underrated as well. To me, it just lacks the experimentation and the innovative qualities that so many of their later records brought. They're not really pushing many boundaries because many of the sounds on this record were already trending during the time at the 90s. Tom's songwriting for some parts on here is just straight up ass, like I'm not gonna lie. They just feel very limited in what they could do on this album. Now granted, it does suffer from the fact that we have to compare it to later albums, which is gonna make it seem worse immediately, because for a lot of bands their debut just doesn't really compare to what they evolve and grow into. If I'm being positive, alright, I actually do love Creep. I like Creep more than the average person. If I had a go-to karaoke song, I'm sorry, I know everyone would pick it, I'd pick it too. I think Blowout is great. Stop Whispering is an underrated cut. You is also very good. Anyone Can Play Guitar being one of their most positive songs, I can't really hate on. It's just the rest of this album is just so indifferent towards one another, where ever since I've listened to this album maybe 2 or 3 times since I first reviewed it a few weeks ago, I still cannot tell some of these tracks apart from one another. But I still like the record. I mean, I give it like a 6. Alright, this album gets shit on by many. I think I like this record more than the average individual, mainly due to the fact that it doesn't sound bad to me. I like a lot of the production that's going on here. The album cover is dog shit, alright, but I'm not gonna beat it up any more than I have to, alright? That's been said a million times by a million different people. Someone commented when I reviewed it that if the text was removed from it, then it would look better. I disagree. I think it would still look like shit. There's just no saving it. The thing about this album is that it's hard to really engage with it and really maintain my attention. I think what this album really needs is some Subway Surfers on the bottom of but it's just mainly lacking in its star power crazy songs. I mean, even Pablo Honey had Creep, and we do have songs like Lotus Flower. Alright, there's also other songs like Lotus Flower. I think Separator, Codex, and Bloom are actually great songs. I just can't help but feel that there's such a lack of presence from Tom on this record. And when he does come in, to me it's just not making that much of an impact. And I know I was just shitting on Pablo Honey for not being as experimental enough, right? But this to me is just a little bit too much. Amnesiac. Radiohead came off of a big release in the year 2000 when they released Kid A in October. Coming off of an album of what some people call one of the greatest records ever, right? One of the best experimental alt-rock records ever. You would think that maybe the band would take a little hiatus to maybe find a new sound to really dive into or something else, but no. They came fucking beaming in with this one. like in March of the next year. While I don't hate Amnesiac and I like it, or I don't see how this record is almost cracking the top 500 in Write Your Music's all-time records. I don't get it. I don't see it. I don't see it. And I know that it has Pyramid Song. I get it. Pyramid Song is great. By the way, speaking about that song, there's like a version of it on YouTube that's like super slowed down. All right, it's mad ambient. It's awesome. Check it out. Knives Out, You and Whose Army are great songs as well. But I just can't help but feel like this is just the Robin to Kid A's Batman. Songs like Sardines and Morning Bell really give me that vibe. Plates and Revolving Doors kind of, to me, sounding like being experimental just for the fun of it. There's just not much going on there. And I'll say one more time, yes, the highlights are great. All right, the production peaks are amazing and almost on par with some moments on Kid A. But I just can't help but feel like the lows off of this record, the not really accessible to most people moments, just don't really pull it out from the spot that I have it in. All right, so I got it here. I was expecting to not like this record when I heard it, but I'll say it now. I don't give a fuck. This shit is better than Amnesiac. A Wolf at the Door, 2 + 2 = 5. There, Where I Am Do Begin, Sail to the Moon. There are so many songs off this record that are great. Now mind you, does this album suffer from some filler? Yes. I still hate Backdrifts. Alright, that has not changed. If you go watch my video on that, I hated it then, I still hate it now. Songs like We Suck Young Blood having a cool ass title and kind of letting me down instrumentally. Go to Sleep in the Gloaming kind of doing that for me as well. But while the album does feel kind of bloated and saturated at times, and I do understand that they were kind of going through a transitional point after their experimental sound. So hearing some tracks like Go to Sleep that are more kind of acoustic, it's tough. I get it. But the highlights on here are too strong to ignore. 2 + 2 = 5 is dead ass one of their best songs. All right, the way that song starts and ends is crazy. Tom's vocals are out of this world. A Wolf at the Door is so underrated. Melodies on it are fire. I guess some production moments are not the best to me. All right, but the highs are high. All right, we're high up there right now. I am glad. All right, I thank God every day that they went to see Jeff Buckley. You could tell Tom as a songwriter and just as an overall artist has come so far since Pablo Honey. Even as a vocalist, there's some moments off of here that are just his best. To be honest, some of this album sequencing does get to me a little bit. It makes it harder to listen to this as an album rather than just picking out my favorite songs for what the mood currently is, which is what I do for Hail to the Thief. Don't get me wrong, but I do it even more here because the highs on here are better than Hail to the Thief. I'm not a massive fan of the harder moments off this record, like on Black Star or Just. I know everyone loves Just, and it has so many plays on streaming. It's not my cup of tea. I much prefer like Nice Dream. You know, Nice Dream is so underrated. I don't know if it's because I first heard it in How I Met Your Mother before I even knew Radiohead was a thing. I saw that show so long ago, not even knowing that was the first song that I would hear from them. Bulletproof, I Wish I Was as well. Street Spirit, such an incredible closer. Some of the best guitar work that the band has, period. And I love how we can all collectively agree on how good Fake Plastic Trees is. To me, it's really one of their best songs just because of how everyone agrees that it is one of their best. To me, it is unnecessarily polarizing. I don't get the hate for it as much as people do. I also don't understand why some people have it as like one of their best. It's just, both are incorrect in my opinion. Like, it's a great album, but I'm trying to keep it real here. The instrumentals off this record make me feel like a feather. They make me feel weightless. Truly like I'm a drop of water. I know Radiohead has gotten some critique on their album covers over the years, but this is exact. Tom getting so personal over the beautiful atmosphere that we have on here makes this record so stand out for me. And while I would actually argue that the highlights on the bends are better than these, all right, as an album listening experience, I gotta take a Moonshaped Pool. To me, it's more consistent, even in its lows, but this album does have some of their best songs as well. Alright, Daydreaming is great. Getting lost in that instrumental is like a hobby of mine. True Love Waits is so painful that I sometimes don't even want to listen to it and get that emotion. So many underrated cuts off of here, like Identikit and Present Tense. Burn the Witch is also a fantastic intro. It was hard not to favor this one, alright, above the first two, because I have such a soft spot for this record. I really do. And I really do think that the experimental tones on this record is what makes Radiohead. Alright, it's just not the same band without Kid A. Whether you like this album or not, you gotta admit the influence that this has and the influences that they play off of, they do it so well. It's much more easy to relate to an album like this as opposed to Hail to the Thief or King of Limbs, because it really engulfs you in that alienation. It really makes you feel lonely, even when you're not. To be honest, me and Tom, we go bar for bar on How to Disappear Completely in the car. I mean, I'd be belting this motherfucker. Plus, I do think the vocals on this album are his best. He just sounds so hopeless and dramatic on Motion Picture Soundtrack and everything in its right place. Next time you're in the car, I heavily recommend just putting on Optimistic. Right, just put that shit on. I know you heard it, do it again. And while the album does get praised for its subtle electronic production, we cannot talk about this without talking about National Anthem. Alright, the jazz aspects that this song comes in with is just so unexpected. And yeah, I put Tree Fingers at number 6 as my most favorite songs. But if I'm being honest, I probably collectively listen to Tree Fingers the most. Alright, that little ambient cut I have put on loop and have went to sleep on with so many times. But yeah, the album is fantastic. That's it. This was my first introduction into Radiohead. This is the first album that I listened to, mainly because I just wanted to see, like, what was so good about it? You know, what is the hype behind this motherfucker? Because there are groups of people, there's a lot of people on the internet that call this the greatest rock album of all time, till this day. All right, and when I listened to it for the first time, I was just like, you know what? It's pretty good. You know, it's all right. I think the difference between me and this album and my relationship with it, and the difference with the other albums, is that for the other records, I knew my favorite song off the bat. I knew the best songs off the bat. But since, I don't know if it's because I was inexperienced or just not really familiar with much of the genre or not really ready for this record, but I've flip-flopped to multiple different songs as being my favorite off of this record. I mean, believe it or not, when I first heard it, oh fuck, I forgot to switch the screen. Oh my god, what an awful error. But when I first heard it, believe it or not, Electioneering was my favorite song. Electioneering. The way the guitar kicks off that song just really fucking got me going. While songs like Lucky and Climbing Up the Walls, I don't really be returning to that much because I have so many other great songs off the record that I love more. Alright, Let Down, The Tourist. Alright, The Tourist. If I'm being honest, The Tourist might be one of their best, like top 5, top 3. It is absolutely his best vocal performance, without a doubt. And I can't believe how much some songs on this grew on me. I didn't even like Subterranean Homesick Alien off first listen. And to be honest, last year, that was probably my most listened to song off this record. Exit Music is so good too. And while the most popular songs off this record do get played a lot, it is for a reason. No Surprises, Karma Police, great songs. The album is evidently aging well too, with the rise of technology and AI. I guess you can tie some shoes with this. Bitter Happier as an interlude gets the job done so well. People who listen to this record and be like, you know what, I don't relate to this at all. I'm happy with my life. They give you this vision of a sort of character that has a human life on the surface, has a kind of robotic mindset, and everything that they do every day is just instant. You know that gif of the guy sitting in traffic in SpongeBob? This really is that album. You know, that one gif can really summarize this record's theme as a whole. To me, it deserves all the praise. I don't think it's a 10 out of 10 though, but it deserves the praise. Okay, alright. When it comes to the human emotions and experience as an individual, this is really up there with Songs in the Key of Life. To me, Song structure is the name of the game here. Song structures are the reason why this album is so great. Every song over here kind of starts off with its own unique color, and then as the song goes on, more colors get added on into, which makes the album feel as if it's just an explosion. Each song off this record makes me feel like a new volcano is erupting somewhere, and as the song progresses, shit gets more chaotic as it goes on. That's why to me so many songs off this record are perfect, because they all complete the task. My top 5 songs: Nude, Jigsaw, Reckoner, Weird Fishes, All I Need. Alright, these can all be replaced with one another. I mean, they all do everything so well. The themes of love and obsession on this record make me feel like the dude from You. Now, I actually don't be watching a lot of music reviews too often, but for some reason I stumbled upon Turning the Tables video. They reviewed this record, and there's something that the dad said in that video that really spiked me. He said that the song Nude made him feel like he was naked in the beginning and progressively started putting on a suit, which is probably one of the most real things I've ever heard in my entire life. And of course, while instrumentally the string sections on this record make this album one of the most beautiful sounding that they have, mixes on this record are just so intense as well. On Body Snatchers, 15 Step, the bass on All I Need. This album is just such a vibe, but of course it does end with making you want to take a cyanide pill with a videotape. Such a dramatic outro reflecting death. I think it's truly a perfect closer, even though it is a tough pill to swallow, mainly for the fact that we'll all get there one day. But yeah, that's it. That's the video. Alright, in my opinion, I think picks 1 through 3 can all be swapped, arranged differently. You know, they're all a similar quality to me. If you want to swap the Benz and Moonshape Pool, feel free to do that as well. If you're new, feel free to like and subscribe if you want to. If you want to see more rankings, let me know. That's it. That's the video.